From the BBC World Service, in association with ABC and All India Radio, this is Stumped.
Hello and welcome to Stumped, your intercontinental hit of news, features and debate from the quirky world of cricket. I'm Alison Mitchell in the Northamptonshire village of Wollaston, and because it's springtime, there are lambs in the field. It's Easter week, and so the supermarket shelves are emptying of chocolate eggs. We'll certainly do an Easter egg hunt for the children in the family. And speaking of families, the England cricket family is bidding a fond, happy retirement to one of its stalwarts. Anya Shrubsole, England fast bowler, has announced her international retirement, famously helping England to win the World Cup final at Lord's in 2017 with her 6 wickets. Congratulations to Anya Shrubsole on what has been a stellar and certainly a long and fruitful career.
Hi, I'm Matt Clinch from Melbourne, Australia, filling in for the big chair of Jim Maxwell, with the federal elections being called in Australia for May 21st. So all sorts of pop quizzes about what the interest rates are, what the unemployment rate is, but there was no surprise when Andrew McDonald was named as Australia's 8th men's cricket head coach. He's 4.5 hours away from the MCG, grew up in Wodonga. He brings the calmness and consistency that the Australian team will hope steer them through a challenging 12 months.
Well, Australia on top of the world anyway, but good luck under McDonald. Matt, wonderful to have your company here on Stumped. I'm Charu Sharma for All India Radio. And after gallivanting for many weeks around the country, I'm glad to be back home in Bangalore, where the heat sometimes is taken care of by our rather famous April showers, one of which we had yesterday. The good news, of course, is that after 7 months of rest and repair, my shoulder seems to be okay. So I played my first round of golf yesterday. And,
well done.
I'm sure, thank you, and I'm sure the tennis will follow. But of course, in India, it's all about the IPL juggernaut, which rolls on.
Chariot, good to have you and to have you in good health as well. And Matt, welcome to Stumped, your Stumped debut. We're very pleased to have you. We do have a special guest this week. She is the game's great sensation of the moment. She rewrote the record books in the ICC Women's World Cup final just a couple of weekends ago, producing one of the great ODI innings of all time to beat England and lift the trophy. She not only won Player of the Match, but Player of the Tournament for scoring the most runs ever in an ODI World Cup with 509, and she now sits atop of the ICC Women's ODI Player Rankings. It is Australia wicketkeeper bat Alyssa Healy. Alyssa, welcome to Stumped. Where do we find you at the moment? Back home in Sydney?
Yeah, thanks for having me. And yeah, I'm back home in Sydney, so enjoying some sort of normal life, which has been unheard of for the last 2 years. So it's been nice.
I was going to say, what does normal look like right now for you?
Chores. I was outside gurneying the outdoor area with all the rain that we've had in Sydney, and that's about normal. And going to the pub, I think, for the first time in about 2 years without a mask, which is quite bizarre. But just the normal things that people, I think, probably take for granted every day.
What has the last sort of couple of weeks been like for you? Because you've played World Cup winning innings before. Think of the MCG in 2020. But what has this innings done?
I'm not sure. It hasn't really changed me or my life too much, which is probably a good thing. I suppose that's what it's supposed to be. It is my job after all. And I guess I can just tick the box and say that I did a good job. But I guess for me, I guess what the World Cup did as a whole, from a holistic point of view, I mean, I spent an extra 5 or 6 days in New Zealand after the World Cup. We went down to Queenstown and had a little mini break before coming back to reality here. And I think so many people wanted to stop and talk about it, and they'd watched the World Cup, they'd watched the final series. And I thought that was amazing. I'd never experienced that in New Zealand before. To see them really get behind the Women's World Cup was something really special. And we've obviously saw it here in Australia in 2020 with our T20 World Cup, but just what these World Cups are doing for women's cricket in these different countries is so amazing. So that was kind of probably the only difference that I've noticed.
Yeah, but your innings was absolutely stunning. Did you feel good from the get-go? Was it just one of those where everything clicked?
Yeah, this is going to sound a little bit silly, but it never felt special at any point, which, I mean, probably is a good thing. It meant that I never really, it never really clicked in my mind what was happening. But I was a little bit worried about going out there facing the first 10. I mean, I thought their bowling attack, they'd won the toss, they wanted to bowl. I thought they'd come out firing. They needed to get sort of 3 wickets in the first 10, and I was going to be one of them. So I was a little bit worried about heading out there facing the new ball, knowing their attack in Brunt and Shrubsole. But I guess once we sort of got through that little tricky period, then it was sort of put the foot down and consolidate. And from there, it just seemed to keep going. I'm pretty sure from about 110, I was trying to get myself out and I couldn't. So it was just one of those days where everything seemed to come off. So I was pretty lucky in the end.
You've worked hard on your leg side game in recent years. Did you feel that was an area of your game where you could make a real difference?
Yeah, it's a funny one because I felt like when I was growing up playing cricket, I was just so leg side dominant, and all I ever did was flick to the leg side or play a pull shot, especially anything outside my off stump. I didn't really know what a cut shot was, so for me that was such an area of strength. But I guess I sort of flipped that when I got to the international level and realised that there's a lot more gaps on the offside, and I started to play there a lot more. But it was actually in 2017, and I've spoken a bit about it, playing England in that round game. I came out to bat and we needed sort of, a T20 chase, I guess, at the back end. And Danny Hazel came round the wicket and had the leg side up. She had backward square up and 45 in the ring. And I didn't have an answer for that at that point in time. And I remember walking away from that World Cup being so disappointed in myself that, I was dictated to by a bowler and I didn't like it. It was a bit of a kick to the ego. So for me, it was, okay, how can I access that part of the ground? And how can I open up all these different areas that I'd never really thought of? I was always taught to hit back down the ground, but the game's changed so rapidly that I need to access behind me as well, or sort of the leg side more comfortably. So that's an area that I brought in to my game, and it's sort of paid dividends at the moment. Not just scoring heavily, but I guess being able to manipulate the field is I think where it's had its biggest advantage.
At the very start of your career, you would have been referred to as Ian Healy's niece. Does he now get referred to as Alyssa Healy's uncle?
Surely.
I still get Mitchell Stark's wife a bit, so that's all right. I've done that.
He's Alyssa Healy's husband.
I did that to myself, so that's on me. But I guess it's flipped, quite dramatically. And I got a really nice message from Uncle Ian after the final. I had a few expletives in it about how much they loved it and how much they watched it. So I guess to see that side of it too, and how much he's loving the women's game in particular, has been a really nice shift. So look, I'll take that flip.
Alyssa, there's very little doubt that Australia are far ahead of every other nation in women's cricket. Do you feel that gap can actually narrow, or with the kind of cricket Australia are playing, it's just going to increase and Australia can get better than they already are?
Yeah, I think definitely that the gap can close. I mean, it's taken a lot of hard work for us to get where we are and to play as good a cricket as what we are. And we're always looking to improve. We seem to be searching for this perfect game that we can never quite achieve, even though I feel like we do quite regularly. But so I think we can get even better than what we are. But I definitely think that the gap can close. I think, teams are playing some really, really good cricket and are sort of, I think, playing a lot better cricket than potentially what they're afforded, if that makes sense. I mean, you look at someone like South Africa who had an unbelievable World Cup, who played some really good cricket, beat a lot of really good sides, and I don't necessarily think they're as well supported as what we are. So the fact that they're able to do that is something really special. And I just think with proper investment and looking at our pathway system in particular, and how we're able to produce some really great cricketers who are ready to go on the international level, I think can see the game move forward for a lot of other nations and see it really competitive. And I think this World Cup was the closest one I've ever been a part of. So I think that the gap isn't as far as what everybody seems to suggest.
And that after winning just about every match in the World Cup.
I mean, we didn't want to make it too tight, so we played some good cricket. But I've never really watched or been really heavily invested in a World Cup outside of our games. I sort of just play it from our point of view. But I watched almost every game of that World Cup and absolutely loved it. And I love, the passion, the enthusiasm that all the other teams played with. And I just thought it was an amazing spectacle. And I just so hope that other organisations out there seeing what their women's team are doing and saying, you know what, we want to invest in this and keep growing our sport in our country, because it really works.
It's about the IPL. I mean, I know you've got the WBBL, but the IPL for the men, at least, is the big daddy now. Maybe the women's IPL in India could be, you know, the big mummy. I don't know, the big one for women. Do you think it's gonna? Is it? I mean, within the women's cricket circles, do you think we're close now to a women's IPL?
Yeah, look, I don't know the ins and outs of it. From what I've read, it seems to be on the cards for next year, but. I think it's naturally, you know, the next step. I mean, India, especially in the women's game, is such an untapped market. I mean, you look at that Indian side at the moment, and I'd be terrified to think how good they're going to be in 10 years' time if, you know, they get the opportunity to experience a lot of cricket in different places, and that includes in their domestic setup. Having other international players come in and play in a women's IPL is only going to strengthen the Indian game. So. And thankfully, I'll be retired by then, and they can come in and win everything they want, and I won't mind so much. But yeah, I think it's just a really exciting thing, and it's not about the money. It's never anything to do with that. It's simply the opportunity for young girls to get a taste of technically international cricket. I mean, you come to the WBBL and you're playing against, you know, some of the best international players in the world, and what that's done for our domestic players is amazing. And I see the same opportunity in a women's IPL situation, that, you know, these young Indian superstars get the opportunity to play alongside some of the best players in the world and learn from them, learn how to win, learn how to play the game. And it's only going to do wonders for Indian cricket. So hopefully that's the next step. I mean, there's lots of talk of lots of little leagues popping up around the world, which is an amazing opportunity for a lot of us to hopefully get the opportunity to go and play. But the Indian one would be really cool to be a part of.
You've got to hang on till the first edition of the women's IPL to say that. Set standards.
You know, women's cricket's had a blank canvas to arrange the year, if you like. I mean, the men's schedule is so crammed. Is the women's game sort of getting it right? Do they need to have half an eye on it seems crazy to be talking about overboarding when all we've ever wanted is more women's cricket. But is there just a note of caution around, you know, burnout versus how much players are paid and the professional aspect?
Yeah, it's going to take a little bit of balance, I think, to work it all out. I mean, we've always been screaming for more cricket, and I think we've been screaming for more international cricket. So all of a sudden, if you're throwing domestic leagues in there, you're taking away from the international game, and you're probably giving players the opportunity to go and earn more money somewhere else in the world, which is not really what we want to achieve. But at the same time, the opportunities are amazing. So, you know, you'd be silly not to take that up. But yeah, there's going to have to be some sort of balancing act to make it work, whether or not, you know, it's sort of the next tier of the international players that start playing the domestic cricket, and, you know, the players that, you know, really pride themselves on the international game and representing their country will always do just that. And the domestic leagues will have to miss out. But I mean, at the moment, there's windows for the WBBL, the 100, I think potentially the women's IPL, there might be a little window there where there's not much international cricket to allow players the opportunity to do just that. But I guess once the international schedule, you know, starts getting a little bit more crammed, then it's going to make it more challenging. But I don't know the answer to that. I don't sit on a scheduling committee, so good luck to them if they're going to do that.
Maybe you will one day. We're just talking of that balance between, you know, home and cricket. Just give us a sense, Alyssa, as to what home life, you know, looks like for you now that you are back, because you've got the two dogs, you've got golf, and you've got Mitch, of course. So what does home life look like? What is your normal?
I love that you've put that in the natural order. Dogs, golf, Mitch. You've nailed that on the head.
I hope he's not listening.
He can definitely hear me, and that's fine. It's actually our wedding anniversary tomorrow, so it might be.
Congratulations!
Thank you. Yeah, for me at home, it's switching off from cricket, especially this next sort of 6 weeks. We don't have any cricket for a little bit of time now, so being able to switch off is really important. And you've just hit the nail on the head. There's a lot of golf that's been played. There's a lot of dog walking, giving them attention, and there's a lot of stuff to do around the house, which you know, we're on tour for a lot of the year, so some of that stuff gets left to when we're at home. So it's a very normal life, which I think, like I said earlier, I think people take for granted sometimes, but it's something that we crave when we're on tour for most of the year. So you won't see us doing anything too exciting.
I mean, and you two are, essentially you two are a celebrity couple. I mentioned Mitch, of course, Mitchell Starc, the Australian fast bowler, for those listening who might not be familiar. But, you noticeably don't sort of live your lives on Instagram, as much as you might see some cricketers or, from other spheres of life. Is that quite a conscious effort to kind of maintain, a sense of private life?
Not so much. I don't think it's a conscious effort. I guess we just don't do it as much. Probably don't give everyone as much of an insight as what they love. But we just sort of sometimes, especially when I go home, I tend to just switch my phone off a little bit and leave it there and enjoy the moment for what it is instead of pulling your camera out and taking a photo. So it's no conscious effort to remain private. You'll still see us out and about. We're often down at the local pub of an evening having a drink. So no conscious effort, but I think there's some things that can remain unseen for everybody else.
I'm a little curious, Alyssa, not perhaps at 150 kmph, but does Mitch ever bowl to you in a backyard or somewhere? Just to, is that
I don't know. I'm on the 150, absolutely. Well, up to that.
What's funny about that? I get asked that question quite a lot, and my common response is, "Would you willingly go down the other end of that net and face it?"
No.
Yeah, exactly. And everybody else says no, and then I get you're a professional cricketer, and I said, I still don't want to go and do it. So no way. We've actually, Ash, who's my batting coach, was one of in our wedding party, one of Mitch's best mates, and he when Mitch is at home and wants to go hit balls, we often go down there, and we've been banned from training together because we're too competitive, and we just kept trying to hit the cover off every single delivery. So we're not allowed to train together anymore.
Love it. Alyssa, it has been an absolute pleasure and a privilege to have you on the show today. Thank you so much. Enjoy the dogs, the golf, and fit Mitch in a little bit in there somewhere, won't you?
I'll try. I'll see if I can squeeze it in. Thank you very much for having me.
Congratulations on the World Cup win. Thanks for being on Stumped.
Thank you.
Well, that's all we've got time for on Stumped this week on All India Radio. So a huge thanks once again to our special guest, Alyssa Healy. And thanks too to Charu Sharma and to Matt Clinch. It's been great to have you with us, Clinchy, this week. Don't forget, if you're listening or watching, you can follow us throughout the week on Twitter. We're at BBCWS Sport. Use the hashtag BBC Stumped. And you can watch us on YouTube as well. Go to the BBC World Service's YouTube channel. That's it for now. See you next week. Bye-bye.
From the BBC World Service, in association with ABC and All India Radio, this is Stumped.